Well, we're going down an old country road in the state of Oklahoma right now, on our way to do some of my favorite kind of fishing. Hybrid striped bass fishing is fantastic, and we're going to one of the best hybrid lakes in the entire United States. Got a rainy, overcast, drizzly kind of a day. Should be perfect for this. We're going to show you how to find them and how to catch them. Fox Sports Outdoors is on the air right now.
It's time for your weekly fishing reports and real-time outdoor news from the Southwest region. This is Fox Sports Outdoors.
Well, we've made it to our destination. It's a gorgeous lake set up in the foothills north and west of Tulsa, Oklahoma. This is Skiatook Lake. I made my very first trip here to Skiatook about a year ago, catching hybrid stripers, and we really loaded the boat with some great sized fish. This time around, we've brought the Tracker Pro Team 195 and the Mercury 150 4-stroke out to give it a little test out on the lake. Going to show you some techniques on how to locate these hybrid stripers in a reservoir near you and some techniques on how to catch those. It's going to be a lot of fun. While we're doing that, we're taking you around your local region for your fishing reports for the week from our expert team of insider reporters. Right now, the Tracker Pro Team 195 goes down the boat ramp into Skiatook Lake. We get it all started back at the FSN studios with your weekend planner.
The Salooner tables are indicating fair conditions for both Saturday and Sunday this weekend. In general, peak activity should begin an hour or two after sunrise and again a bit after sunset. Look for the sun to rise at 7:08 and set at 7:39. In evenings, will feature a moon that is 62% visible. Stay with us for freshwater and coastal fishing updates from around the region. Plus, Bassmaster champion Edwin Evers stops by to help with this week's Ask the Pro feature. Back in a bit.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Exide AGM Marine Batteries. Starts like new, stays like new longer. Motor Guide Trolling Motors, because accuracy matters. Nitro Performance Fishing Boats. Champions aren't born, they're made. And Fox Sports Outdoors is driven by Fort Worth Nissan and Lone Star Toyota.
Let it hit bottom again. Burn it, burn it, burn it, burn it. Push the button, let it go back to the bottom. Burn it, burn it, burn it, burn it. Fish, 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 got him. There's one, good one. All right, we are on. Hopefully it's a hybrid, but he's coming up fast. Yeah, it's a small hybrid. Not a big one. All right, but it's a start. All right, there's your hybrid right there, just a little 2.5 pounder, something like that. Back he goes. Well, we've made it out, and what I've done here is just started driving around the lower end of the lake looking for break lines. They basically live on underwater islands, humps, points, anything that comes up off the floor of the lake, rises up off the floor. They'll live on the upslope or on top of those humps, and I'll show you what a couple of those look like on a graph right here on my Lowrance Elite TI. These are the kind of places, the places where you have these break lines that are close together, come up and form a hump, a ridge on top. Those are the places you want to look for hybrid stripers. We've got to start. I'm going to talk to you about the technique I use. I use a spoon, a swim bait, a crankbait, a lot of different techniques, but it's pretty specific to catching a hybrid striper, and I'll tell you how coming up here in just a little bit. First though, let's get you fishing and lake reports from where you live.
Hey, September has a reputation of being a really tough bass fishing month at many places across the country, including Oklahoma, but that doesn't scare FLW Tour Pro Andrew Upshaw. He just converts to a technique known as the Ned rig for finesse fishing. He said it'll catch him in September. Check it out here.
So this is basically what your Ned rig looks like. Right here we actually have the Ned rig inchworm by Jean LaRue Lures. This is by far my favorite one that there is today, because you have the advantage of having a swim tail and a solid body. You know, the solid body is actually made with salt and sand. It makes it really heavy, makes it where you can cast it a very long ways. A few different things that I do with my Ned rig is I actually use 2 different size jig heads. I use anywhere between a 1/16 ounce outcast tackle mushroom head or a 1/10 ounce regular mushroom style jig head, weedless version. By far my favorite thing to do with a Ned rig is fishing it as dead stick around targets. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cast out. I'm casting to a particular spot right here at the very end of this boat ramp. So bass will always hold at the end of a boat ramp. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let that bait sit on the bottom. I'm not going to move it. I pick it up and I drop it and I let it just sit there for 5, 10, 15 seconds, whatever it may be. Shake it a little bit more, let it sit again, don't move it. If one's not on it, I reel in and cast to a new target. You don't waste a lot of time, you can cover a lot of targets in the day. This will help you put more fish in the boat.
Hey, Andrew says you can catch them on the Ned rig in September, but he also says you can't catch them if you don't go.
There's one. Wow, reeling a spoon up off the bottom that time. We caught them on swim baits, and now this is going to be one on a spoon. Yeah, that's a good fish. That's a big boy there. All right, look at that big boy. Man, that's a pig right there. There is a Skiatook hybrid. What a great fight that fish put up too. What an awesome fish. We'll put him back. All right, that was a good one right there. That's a legit big one, but not nearly as big as the world record. Get this, biggest one ever caught, 1997, based on what I can find, 27 pounds and 5 ounces caught out of Greer's Ferry Lake in Arkansas. Stay with us. We'll be right back to Skiatook Lake, north of Tulsa, Oklahoma. There's one. Whoa. Using fairly light line out here. This water is crystal clear. And I've only got 12-pound line on. See my big swim bait. See my big old swim bait hanging out his mouth. All right. That's just an average sized fish right there. Good fighters. They, pound for pound, they fight a lot harder than, in my opinion, any other fish that swims in fresh water. A 3-pound hybrid like that will fight harder than a 3-pound largemouth, smallmouth, striper, anything else. It's just amazing how powerful those fish are and how muscular they are. Let me show you the technique real quick that I'm using to catch these fish. And I'd use the same technique on a spoon or a swim bait. Big long cast. Long cast wins here, and I'll show you the tackle to make these long casts on the Academy Right Stuff at the end. I use a heavy head, that's a 2-ounce head, going to the bottom at about 35 feet of water right now. Once it hits the bottom, I click that reel into gear, swim it 4 or 5 times on a nice medium retrieve, and then got him. Slow down. Wow, they hammered it. What I was going to tell you is I push that button, let it go back to the bottom, which I never got a chance to do that. They hit it on the swim. And crank it 5 or 6 more cranks, push the button, let it go down again. Use a big spoon or a swim bait. This is a swim bait, a chartreuse one with a big old tail on it. And it's that fast swimming motion that tends to trigger the strikes on the hybrid stripers. All right, hybrid stripers, it works. Use that technique. It works for stripers and hybrids all over the country, everywhere these species live. Right now, it's time for Fishing and Lake Reports for you. Go get you some.
Hi folks, this week's Lone Star Lakes is brought to you by the Brecklin Ranch. Nestled in the beautiful countryside just outside Cristobal, Texas, the Brecklin Ranch is just under 2,000 acres and is teeming with axis, black buck, fallow deer, monster whitetails, turkey, and more. Make your next hunting adventure right here in Texas with the good folks at the Brecklin Ranch. Now this week we're going to talk about a fish that ought to be on every Texas angler's bucket list. That's the Guadalupe bass. It's the state bass of Texas, and they don't grow very big. The state record is only 3.71 pounds. And they're only found in a few waters near the Edwards Plateau, like the Colorado River, the Brazos, and of course the Guadalupe River. You'll need light to ultralight spinning gear with 4 to 6 pound test, and then use things like your Roadrunner, your Rooster Tail, or even your Bobby Garland crappie jig heads with the soft plastic bodies. The countryside is beautiful, the rivers are beautiful, and the fish is a very striking species. To see how to identify Guadalupe bass, go to the Texas Parks and Wildlife website. They have several guides there that will help you know you've caught that bucket list Guadalupe bass. That's this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you by the wonderful folks at the Brecklin Ranch in Cristobal. Now let's check in with Mr. Bill Olson. He's on the coast.
Hi folks, this week's report is brought to you by Port Aransas on Mustang Island, the fishing capital of Texas, where anglers enjoy pristine bays, estuaries, 18 miles of surf, and the deep blue waters of the Gulf of Mexico. Plus, the local restaurants will even cook your catch come sundown. Come fish and play Texas Island style. For more information, visit portaransas.org. Well, everyone expects a change, but the change is slow to come. Such is the case in early September that's really more like August. On Sabine Lake, anglers continue to work from mid-lake to the end of the jetties. Shorelines and clamshell beds are holding trout and scattered redfish. Early, it's Unfair Lures dog walker, and later it's small pearl chartreuse paddle-tail soft plastics. Deepwater reefs in Galveston bays, as well as mid-bay reefs in East Matagorda, are holding trout willing to hit topwater lures early. Birds are working over feeding trout. Use heavier jig heads and around the edges to get down past the schoolies to better quality fish. Dagger Island, East Flat, Shamrock Cove, and the Boat Hole are holding trout with increasing numbers of schooling redfish. Redfish activity is also heating up from Port Mansfield to the south. Flounder coming from sloping bay bottoms near deeper water. Specks are around Spoil Islands and grass flats. This weekend, both Saturday and Sunday have a single tide schedule of 1 high and 1 low tide each day. I'm Bill Olson, and I'll see you on the coast.
There he is, swimming it up off the bottom, right straight below the boat. And he swam up behind it and sucked it in. Clear water. Well, let me tell you, I did something interesting there. I got into a little bit of a lull here. We've gone like an hour or so without catching any. And I went to a little smaller bait, a little smaller bodied swim bait. I'll show that to you at the end. That's a little Jean LaRue bait. But if you want to get a bite, just go smaller, go downsize. Go to a little smaller spoon, a little smaller swim bait, a big grub, something like that. A lot of times you can get bit. Even under high sky, sunny conditions like this, very clear water, the fish go down and get finicky. A lot of times you can draw a strike with a smaller bait.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Tracker Boats. It's more than just a boat, it's a tracker. Costa sunglasses, see what's out there. Mercury Marine, official outboard of Fox Sports Outdoors. And Lowrance Electronics, find, navigate, dominate.
Boy, that one hit it on the swim up. Pretty good pull. Welcome back everybody to Skiatook Lake. Doing some hybrid striper fishing today. I love to catch these fish. Make a big, long cast out there. Let it go all the way to the bottom and swim it up. About the same size. There we go. That's a pretty good fish right there. Bigger than I first thought he was. There's my swim bait right there. Pretty good sized swim bait with a great big head. And a good hybrid right there. Let's talk a little bit about the locations where you're going to find these hybrid stripers. Anything that comes up, rises up off the bottom, is prime territory for hybrid stripers. They like to get on that upslope, that side slope, and chase their bait up. They like to pin the bait up against something. So if you can get out there with your graph, your sonar, drive over those kinds of places, and you're looking on my Aransas Elite TI-7 here, look for either bait fish or the actual arches of fish. Those are what you're looking for. Those are the hybrid stripers. You find those, get at an area where those are located. Let's get you fishing and lake reports right now from your local area.
Hey friends, Captain Kevin Broussard here for your Fox Sports Louisiana Outdoor Report. Tell you what, this week we're going to start off with bass fishing freshwater. Tell you what, Toledo Bend's still great. All the lakes up in North Louisiana still catching a lot of fish. Got a cold front or two starting to move their way through, so the fish are turning to the early fall patterns. Tell you what, starting to fish shallow, buzz baits, spinner baits, rattle traps around the grass seems to be the best key on the bass scene. Still some white perch getting caught 20 to 30 foot on Rockport Rattler jigs and live minnows above the brush pile. We're gonna change it over to saltwater fishing right now. I tell you what, we've had a lot of rain and a lot of fresh water coming down the Calcasieu, but this is one boat's catch today. We're finally starting to get back to some good quality saltwater in the bay. Tell you what, live shrimp right now, live finger mullet, live pogie seem to be the best key. Like I said, cold fronts are coming through, same as the bass. They're starting to trigger the early fall pattern. Tell you what, the ling, they're starting to show up offshore. Triple tail, talk to Towfield Bourgeois. He's been going out to the Chandelier Islands, fishing out of Lafitte, redfish, speckled trout, same thing over there, great fishing. You wanna make a trip? Email or call old Cajun Phil, the number's on the screen. Tell you what, come down to Cajun Paradise Lodge and Charters, y'all have a good time. For old Cajun Phil and Fox Sports Southwest, happy fishing and may God bless.
I want to show you something real quick headed into this quick commercial break. Yesterday I got a chance to go over to Keystone Lake, which is just about 45 minutes from here. It's got a great population of striped bass, not the hybrid stripers, but the pure stripers. And I got a chance to fish for them. It's a rough day. The water there's just chocolate muddy right now, but I was able to catch one good one. Want to show it to you going to this commercial break, give you just a little bonus footage of some real stripers right over at Keystone using this exact same technique. We got one on a spoon. There's a spoon right there. Stop. Stop. Boy, that's a fat one there. Look at that dude. Big fat belly on it. Obviously a lot of shad to eat in here. And that one's a big wide one. Beautiful, bright colored dark stripes down its side. That's just a gorgeous specimen right there. Good striper. All right, back he goes.
Be sure to join Fox Sports Outdoors again next week, Thursday at 5:30, or catch the repeat airing Saturday morning at 8. And you can always watch the latest episode in full HD on the front page of our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com. Plus, catch up on all past episodes by clicking the archive button, and see lots of how-to and product videos by clicking the how-to button. Also, stay up to date with the latest fishing news, videos, and photos by clicking the follow button on our Twitter feed. And get lots of that same info by clicking the like button on our Facebook page. Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day. Lose, fueled by passion, driven by innovation. Feel the difference. Gene LaRue and Bobby Garland Lures. With our baits, a good day of fishing is in the bag. And Strand Fishing Lines, the standard of dependability.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time for the Ask the Pro segment, where viewers get expert insights from professional anglers. This week's question comes from Roger, who asks, do you always fish a jig with a weed guard, even if there's very little cover in the area? For the answer, we checked with the reigning Bassmaster Classic champion, Edwin Evers.
The question is, fishing a jig, always fish it with a weed guard, even if you're in an area that doesn't have any cover. If I'm fishing a jig, it's gonna have a weed guard, because when I'm fishing a jig, I'm usually fishing it around cover. If I'm in open water, then I'm gonna have like an open hook on a swim bait or something a little bit different. But that jig, it's always got a weed guard on it.
Thank you, Edwin. If you have something to ask one of the pros, simply visit our website and follow the Ask the Pro link to submit a question. Now it's time to give away a new pair of shades on the Costa Catch of the Week.
Hey, it's time right now for someone to win a free pair of Costa sunglasses in the Costa Catch of the Week contest. In just a moment, I'll tell you how to enter, but first, here's this week's winner. He's Josh Clark of Aransas Pass, Texas, showing a 30-inch speckled trout he caught out of Corpus Christi Bay on the Texas Gulf Coast. He caught it on a topwater plug while wade fishing. If you'd like to be our next winner, just go to our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com. Click on the Costa Catch of the Week box on the right side of the front page and follow the instructions. The winner must be over 18 years of age to be eligible. And if you'd like to see all of the Costa frame and lens styles, go back to our front page and click on the Costa logo, and you can see all of the great lenses, including the 580 polycarbonate and glass lenses, including the frame I was wearing on this week's episode. It's called Harpoon. Next up on the Academy Right Stuff, it's the right gear if you'd like to go hybrid fishing. And it begins with the perfect rod and reel setup, and this just happens to be the Lew's David Fritz Perfect Crankbait Rod. Now, I like a lot of flex in my hybrid rod because those things are so powerful. You don't want a real stiff rod. This one's got a lot of flex, particularly in the top half of the rod. It's a 7-foot, 6-inch medium heavy action rod, and I've got it paired with the Lew's Speed Spool BB1 Pro bait cast reel. This is very important because I mentioned long cast wins. This is the longest casting bait cast reel I've ever thrown. I had it spooled up with Stren fluorocast line. This is a very clear water lake here at Skiatook, and you need to have something very clear. Fluorocast is fluorocarbon lined. It's got 0 refractive index, which means it's practically invisible in water. Now, as far as the baits you'll need, we begin at the top with a big size swim bait. Earlier in the morning when the fish weren't so finicky, we threw the bigger swim bait. That's a 2-ounce lead jig head. It's painted, and we put just a big swim bait body on it. Now below that is a big spoon. That's about a 5-inch long, heavy spoon for casting a long ways, get it to the bottom quickly. Then in the middle part of the day when the fish got more finicky, we went to a smaller profile bait. Again, the 2-ounce lead jig head, you need the weight to get the bait down to the bottom. Went with a smaller profile Jean LaRue Sweet Swimmer body, and that seemed to work really well for the more finicky bite in the middle part of the day. I saw an open closed sign on the front door of a restaurant the other day, and it made me wonder, am I open or closed? How many things in my life have I put to bed, decided, and are not up for negotiation? Am I willing to learn? Am I willing to change my mind? Am I willing to try new foods, new relationships, new skills, new jobs, new spiritual growth? There's a whole world out there ready to be experienced. Are you open or closed? I hope you enjoyed our trip to Skiatook Lake near Tulsa, Oklahoma this week. If you'd like to book a guide trip right here and catch some of these hybrids just like we caught, Dave Clark guides every day of his life here. He's got the boat and all the equipment to handle it. You'd have a lot of fun if you want to book a trip with him at the contact information you see on your screen. From Oklahoma, until next week, I'm Barry Stokes. Be safe, have fun. Bye-bye, y'all.